from getting loved up in London or Las Vegas, making memories in Memphis or getting mad with it at music gigs, from puckering up to Pantera or being together at Black Sabbath. Regardless of where in the world you two are, together is your favourite place to be. Now, every adventure you two have had has been spent collecting everlasting memories. But one memory more special than all is the day that this man proposed. You see, Stephen told me he knew from the very beginning, the very moment that he laid eyes on Mel, that she was the one. You always knew you were going to spend the rest of your lives together, so you secretly put your plan to propose into place. Now, when I say secretly planned, Mel, you did tell me you'd dragged him past every jewellery store window in town. Not so subtly pointed out your favourite diamonds. In fact, you even said your favourite jewellery designer, Katie Lee, is where the ring had to be designed. So, fair to say, you hoped the question would come one day soon. And after picking up on the hints and taking a shopping trip with your pal Bean, Stephen safely secured the ring, stashed it away amongst all his guitar pedals where it would never be found for eternity. And all you had to do now was choose the perfect place to pop the question. So Mel, with your 30th birthday on the horizon, a once-in-a-lifetime trip to Memphis, Tennessee, and then to Las Vegas, well, this would be the perfect opportunity to catch you by surprise. All Stephen had to do now was somehow smuggle the ring over to America, undetected by Mel and, of course, airport security. A daunting task, and to add to the nerves, well, of course, it was this man who was randomly selected for a security check. With Mel standing there, you told me, Stephen, you could breathe a sigh of relief as no customs officers required an inspection of your ring that day. As you landed in the States, well, Memphis was the first stop on your trip. Being a huge Elvis fan, a tour of Graceland would be the perfect place to pop the question. So as you walked round a tour of Elvis's mansion, Stephen hoped to find a nice secluded spot. Of course, Mel, you told me you wouldn't have been a huge fan of one of these grand public proposals with everyone watching on. So it was when they got to the end of the mansion tour, the guide mentioned for everyone to get some photos. And here you were, stood outside the impressive doorway. After hanging back to let everyone go and get their photos first, here was Stephen, already sweating with nerves, but the southern humidity just added to the heat. Wearing your leather jacket, well, the humidity had caused your hair to look slick just like Elvis. It couldn't have been any more perfect for Mel. So as you went to pose, well, you were next up and the tour guide was ready to capture the moment. But Stephen, you knew this was your moment. It was now or never, so you pounced into position. And it was at this moment that all suddenly became clear. Mel saw the man of her dreams go down on one knee with that ring in his hand. And the tour guide shouted in the most southern accent, "Oh my God, you didn't tell me I was ready!" And just then, a tour bus of 200 Elvis fans pulled up in the most public proposal ever. The crowd went wild with cheers and applause. And of course, after leaving Stephen hanging for what felt like a lifetime, just like Elvis, Mel, you said, uh-huh. And of course, the answer was always going to be yes. So that brings us to this very moment today. You said yes. And for you too, well, marriage is so much more than just sharing a really cool new surname, Mel. It's sharing in the challenges that life will face you with. It's never been too old to hold hands. It's remembering to say I love you every single day. Okay, if you're able, could you please be upstanding as we welcome our beautiful bride. Watch out. Oh, yes. Like that one. Too good, man. Cheers, man. You man. He's alright. Something that side, man. Cheers, lads. Thanks, Daddy. You alright, mate? Fucking brilliant.
That was too funny, man.
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. No, you're okay, you're okay. There's a lot of dress there. Right, you two, as your wedding day, you're allowed to hold hands. Just no kissing till I say so, Stephen.
Hey, sorry.
Good afternoon, family and friends, and welcome to the big, fat, gay wedding. Today, we witness something truly remarkable, a once-in-a-lifetime event, something we should all cherish dearly for the rest of our lives. Sunshine in Scotland. We've got a nice day. Pretty good. And Stephen and Melissa would like to thank all of you for coming here today. So as we talk about love and love stories, before we send you two off on that next chapter of your love story called marriage, well, it's only fair, like the TV shows, we have a quick recap of the previous chapter of how you two met, how you fell in love, and how you got to this very spot today. So, Stephen, you told me you were like a modern-day Prince Charming. Stephen searched through all of the land for his Cinderella. Well, more accurately, you searched through work, didn't you? And boy, was he in luck. Of course, it would be in the romantic surroundings of the SECC or the Hydro where you two worked. And of course, you would first cross paths here. Now, working together for the first time, Stephen, you told me the second that you laid eyes on Mel, you knew instantly that this was the girl of your dreams. Mel worked in the bar, and Stephen would stock the bars each night. And this gorgeous girl would come in for her shift. Well, Stephen would hang around the bar like a lost puppy. Fair to say you weren't doing much work. You were working hard trying to get her number, that was about it. But it would take, as it often does, for a drunken works night out before romance would blossom for these two. Here you were at a works night out in the SECC, and Mel, you told me you were full of high spirits. Well, I hear you were full of all the spirits. And of course, it was after downing drinks in front of Stephen, seeing you drink a bottle of Jack Daniels in record time, he knew instantly that you were a keeper right there and then. It was love at first sight. Of course, being a tequila fan, he likes a wee coffee tequila. You would move on to shots, and this boy was getting more handsome by the second. 1 tequila, 2 tequila, 3 tequila, 4. So let's just say Stephen hoped it wasn't just the tequila that was getting slammed that night. Of course, the drinks were flowing. Try not to look at Mum here. The drinks were flowing, the conversation was flowing. You two told me you spent hours and hours chatting away with one another. And of course, you went out to the smoking area, and all of a sudden you would find yourselves all alone. There was no one else around. Here they were, stood behind the big curtain. And as the music blasted out loudly in the party, well, let's just say it wasn't just the music that was pumping in the SEC that night, because Stephen's heart was soon pumping out of his chest. Come on. There's kids here, come on. Stephen's heart was soon pumping out of his chest, because it was in Hall 3 at this very moment that you two would share your very first kiss. Now, despite the hazy memories from the night before, well, you couldn't wait to see this girl in work again, Stephen. Having spent each day together, well, you two colleagues had now become friends. And of course, our relationship started to grow. This didn't go unnoticed by all of your colleagues. But you were a wee bit scared to actually ask her out, Stephen. It took you ages and ages. As you were waiting to pluck up the courage to ask this girl out, well, you soon discovered there was only one problem. Mel had went and got herself a boyfriend. Disaster for Stephen. You were gutted at hearing this news. So it would be several months later When stocking the bar, one of your workmates now mentioned that Mel was without a man. Well, you literally dropped the drinks that were in your hand, Stephen. You ran to the bar like an Olympic sprinter, and as you arrived there all sweaty and panting, you wasted no time in asking this girl out on a date. Now, you didn't want this girl to slip through your fingers once more, so you pulled out all the stops for this date to impress her. You took her to the fanciest place you could think of, TGI Fridays. Pretty decent. Hey, even let her eat. You let her pick anything she wanted from the 2 courses for £12 menu, you told me, so that's pretty good. Some things never change, Stephen, eh? Because you'd only seen one another in work before, you'd only ever seen him in his work clothes, Mel, so you told me you were actually quite anxious about seeing him out of work. You didn't know what he was going to wear. You were a bit worried that he was going to show up wearing something quite weird. And as you stood there waiting for your date to arrive, the minutes ticked by. Mel was now beginning to think she'd been stood up with this boy. He was fashionably late. A whole half hour had passed. And then you spotted this handsome man in the tight, skinny jeans running towards you. And everything moved in slow motion. So as you sat there that night in TGI's, munching on your burgers, you chatted for hours and hours. But for you two, it simply felt like minutes. You told me it felt like you'd known one another your whole lives. Everything was going so perfectly. So, Melissa, you decided to lean in towards Stephen. You closed your eyes, you puckered your lips, and you waited and waited. This boy was too busy munching on his burger to even notice his glasses. Well, getting his £12 worth, wasn't he? So, of course, as the date finished, well, you didn't want the night to end there. So Stephen suggested heading back to his place. Well, of course, as you got back to Stephen's that night, this girl wasted no time making a move on this man. What unfolded was like something off of the Discovery Channel. The female of the species locked eyes on the male. You shimmied and shuggled your bits towards her, Mel. And it was right there on the sofa that you swooped on your prey. Which was pretty awkward for Anne, who was sat on the other sofa, by the way. Still lived with his mum and dad. But of course, needless to say, romance blossomed, and you two were now falling head over heels for one another. The cat was out the bag with your work colleagues, and you two soon realised you were so much more than just boyfriend and girlfriend. You soon became best friends. You would spend every moment you could together, whether it was in work or sharing in one another's hobbies. You would share a love for music and share a love for skinny jeans. You would even share one another's skinny jeans. And of course, it wasn't long before one of you said those 3 little words. Do you remember who said the L word first?
It was you.
It was you.
It was Stephen. It was Stephen. Yeah, that's what you told me last time we met. And Melissa, you told me Stephen said, "I love you," and 7 seconds later, you updated your Facebook status to "in a relationship," and the rest, as they say, is history. Now, you would come over and stay at Stephen's place regularly. Soon, the wee overnight bag became a drawer full of clothes, and one by one, Mel's things started to appear. So you would officially join the gays as one happy household. But then when lockdown loomed, of course, well, facing the prospect, would you spend time apart or would you lock down together? Well, you two weren't interested in keeping a 2-metre distance. You said balls to Boris, stuff sturgeon, and you two were now a bubble. And of course, it made complete sense for you two to get your very own place together. And of course, give Anne and Peter a bit of peace and quiet. And since moving in together, you tell me you're like an old married couple already. One is always early for things, the other fashionably late. One does all of the cooking, the other one's better at doing the dishes. One is neat, clean and tidy, and the other is Mel. But I love how you two told me you're the perfect match, the yin and the yang, the chalk and the cheese, the black and the white. Stephen, you said how you're super relaxed, chilled out, never really stressed too much about anything, whereas Mel's a wee bit more temperamental. Oh no, sorry, you said Mel has a temper and is mental. Sorry, Mel. Can you read your handwriting there? But hey, living together, you two have had so many amazing adventures as a couple. However, your biggest adventure yet was welcoming your new addition to the family, with your fur baby Lottie joining the household. And who knows, there may be more additions to the family in the years to come. What is certain for you two, you clearly already have the perfect family, and you love spending your lives together. So I secretly asked these two to share with me some of those little reasons that they truly, madly, deeply love one another. What is love to you two? And of course, use this opportunity to get a couple of things off their chest. What do they not love about one another, but put up with anyway? And here is what they shared. Well, Stephen, we'll go with yours first. So you said, quite smartly, I love everything about Mel. However, if I could sum it up to just a few things, she is the most fun person to be around, and she never fails to make me smile. I love that she's got this weird Disney magic where she attracts animals everywhere she goes. And I love that she is the most amazing cook. All her cooking and baking is always a plus. I get to benefit from this every single day. However, there are a few things that bug me about Mel. Lock the doors. Firstly, she is very, very messy. Who would have known? And of course, she thinks she's the funniest out of us. But lastly, she is actually the funniest out of us. Frustrating for him, Mel. So Mel, we'll start off with the not so good. What do you not sometimes love about Stephen? You don't love that he's so bloody talented. It's really annoying that this boy is just so good at everything he turns his hand to. You don't love that he's always running late for absolutely everything. And you don't love that he's Lottie's favourite out of the two of you. But this is massively outweighed by all of the things that you love about Stephen. You love his incredible sense of humour, always making you laugh. You love that he's always a million steps ahead. He can spot issues before they even become issues, which does mean they sometimes take a wee bit longer. Well, that's fine, because he's on it. And the thing you love most, he tolerates the chaos that you thrive in. He's never, ever questioned once when you get a random impulse to do stuff like changing your hair colour every single week.
Precious. Baby. You going straight to your grandpa? Yes. Good.
Do you want to see your grandpa?
Don't pee in the carpet.
See you, mate. So I now have the most pleasant duty of officially announcing you, Stephen and Melissa, husband and wife.
Rising from the dust, we see now this is us. 'Cause you're someone I can trust. And you're someone
favourite part of the evening, the speeches, and it is my pleasure to introduce to you not only the most important man in the room, but the happiest man in the room, the groom.
Thanks, off. You know I hate speeches, so this is going to be quick. Right. Right, thank you all much for being here. It means the world to us to be surrounded by our favourite people on this special day. You're part of it, you're part of it. I'd like to take a minute just to thank a few folk. We didn't have a traditional bridal party, but we had something special, our flower bros. Danny, Kyle and Paul, you stepped up with full commitment and brought the perfect mix of charm, chaos and confusion. I'm not sure who was which. Danny was chaos. You had everybody smiling. It made the moment feel genuinely special. It means so much to us for you to be part of our day. A big thank you to Bean and Carrie. Just carry it there. So really shit. It means a lot for us to have two people who know us well standing beside us when we made it official. And now, my incredible wife. I'm going to be honest, this is a bit, it took me ages to write. Right? You look amazing. You always look amazing. You're absolutely beautiful. More than I could ever try and put into words. You make me laugh daily, whether it's singing Whitesnake badly or stealing my jokes. You're amazing and bring out the best in me. I feel unbelievably lucky to be your husband, and I can't wait to spend the rest of my life with you. So once again, thank you all for being here. It means everything to me and Mel to celebrate with yous, like to our families, friends, everyone who helped to make this day special. We're truly grateful, and especially to my incredible wife. So, everyone can raise their glasses again. Dost, this is the last one, Ross. Just you calm it. Put that wine down. Sarah, you promised me. Right. Everyone can raise their glasses in a toast to love, laughter, and a lifetime together.
Hello everyone. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Kyle, long-time friend of Mel and Stevie, and apparently, as of today, officially a flower boy. It's not every day that a grown man gets given a pouch of petals and told to be whimsical and purpose. Very well. Thank you. I met Mel and Stevie back in 2013 when we all worked in the Hydro in the West Bar in Glasgow. Mel and I were behind the bar doing the noble duty of serving pints to the punters. Stevie, he was in the elusive logistics team, which basically meant that he lived in the cellar, he looked a bit angry, and he only ever emerged when something broke. Now, anyone who knows Stevie will know two things about him. One, he's terrified of spiders. And two, he's terrified of spiders. Which is great because nothing says safe space like a damp beer cellar or a dark sweat room. Not very fortunate for you, but very amusing for us over the years, so thank you for that. On a serious note though, Stevie, those years in the Hydro will stay with me forever, and the boys, I'm sure. It was the best team that I've ever worked with, and a massive part of that was you. Your sense of humour, your loyalty, the way you kept us all together when things were tough. It's a real credit to who you are as a person. Mel, this is where I'm supposed to tell you that you're lucky to have him, but let's be real, I've tasted your cakes and your tablet. We all know who the lucky one is here. And as well as being a dangerously talented baker, Mel is also beautiful, clever and funny. But more than that, she's kind. She's got this calming presence that perfectly balances out Stevie's, well, Steviness. Together, they just make perfect sense. And of course, there's a proposal at Graceland, at the home of Elvis Presley, in true rock and roll fashion. Now, apparently Stevie was the only male on the tour. And him getting down on one knee that day was sure to have triggered a gasp, and not just for Mel. With his ghostly white complexion, his leather jacket, and his gravity-defying quiff, the crowd at Graceland could have been forgiven for thinking for a brief, glorious moment the king himself had returned. Meanwhile, Mel, overcome with emotion, was crying so much that to this day, Stevie still doesn't know whether she actually said yes or just made a noise that sounded close enough. In that moment at Graceland, it says it all. Full of love, a little bit of chaos, and completely unforgettable. Classic Mel and Stevie. I think I speak for everyone when I say how genuinely happy we all are to see you here together today. You bring out the very best in each other, and it's been an absolute joy to watch your story unfold. So I'd like to ask you all now to raise your glass for a toast. To Mel and Stevie, and of course, little Lottie. Wishing you a lifetime of love, laughter, music, and only ever very small, manageable spiders. Cheers.
Under the willows that hang on our street, the flowers are red as the wine that you drink. How this life turned out more than I thought it'd be, when I only have you and I have everything. Under the blood moon we're frozen in time. They will see us in pictures, they'll read us in lines. Somehow this life means more than I thought it could mean, when I only have you and I have everything. You're in my heart, you're in my bones, you're part of me, it's chemical. Don't ask me why, 'cause I don't know. You're part of me, it's chemical, it's chemical, it's chemical, it's chemical, it's chemical. Sometimes I wonder how it came to be, how you just had one life and you gave it to me. Oh, I give my own just to make sure you're safe. There's not one single piece that I won't give away. You're in my heart, you're in my bones, you're part of me, it's chemical. Don't ask me why, 'cause I don't know. You're part of me, it's chemical, 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 it's You're in my heart, you're in my bones, you're part of me, it's chemical.